very warm welcome to this info meeting about the Resonant Healing Practitioner Certification Program. And with us today, we've got several students, recent students or current students, and several grads from previous years, as well as some of you who I guess are here because you are interested in the program. Very warm welcome. So we've got information to share with you, and perhaps more important than factual information is the peer-to-peer sharing about what it's like to be in the program, and perhaps what I find really interesting also is what is it like to have completed the program some years ago, and where are you at now in regard to what you've learned, and how you're using your resonant healing practitioner skills. So warm welcome to those of you who came in late and didn't hear the beginning. I saw there was a
Pernilla,
request
there
in
is a
the
request in the chat
yeah. How many
from
people here are thinking of joining the 2026 cohort? Let us ask this question by the end of today, because how would you know if you are interested when you haven't heard the enthusiasm and learned all the facts about this program?
We can only ask assistants to rename, or not assistant, but graduates to rename themselves. So somehow it will be also
It would be more
known.
visible. Yeah, perhaps with an asterisk before your name, if you are a graduate of the program, if you're a certified person here.
Or a student.
Oh, student, of course, sorry.
Also, on a student, yes. Of the certification program, to be precise.
Yes. Yeah, okay. I just want to see who's on the other screen here. Wonderful. And so it's so thrilling to see the interest for this info call, even in the midst of a very full day. This is wonderful, thank you. So are we just going right on with the few slides we prepared?
Well, I'll say a few words about how the program came about and what it means to me, and then we'll go into the slides, I think. Is that okay?
Alrighty, yes. Brilliant.
Before the pandemic, I was traveling a lot to Europe, and I would go and I would teach for Pernilla and Asha, and they were some of my very earliest students. And they thought, well, we really should have a certification program. And I said, well, I don't have the bandwidth. And they said, no, we'll be the organizers and you'll teach. And so that's what they did. They pulled together the first cohort of folks, and the first cohort of folks were people who had studied with me in person, often for as long as 10 years before we opened the certificate program. So there was a huge amount of knowledge and understanding already of the process. And what became really clear to me and to Jaya as the graduates of that program uh, began and also continued to help us in classes was that the classes had an enormous depth that they did not have if there were not assistants in them. The degree of support that people receive from assistants is absolutely extraordinary, and create something so different than what we can often do. So the question then is, how do we, if people might really love to have this certification in order to be able to do one-to-one session work, and sometimes people want this certification in order to be able to contribute as they have been contributed to. So there are kind of both intentions that sometimes people are getting their certificate and adding it to a lot of other certificates that they have. Sometimes people are just doing this and are really focused on this. So there are other things we've experimented with over the years, but one of the things that we noticed was that if we aren't starting with students who have been hanging out with us for 10 years, then a little more prerequisites are needed, and also folks who are coming in need a little bit of warning about the rigor and the discipline and the focus and the time commitment of the program. So that's a little bit what we're here to do, but we're also here to talk about how it changes lives. It's a way to learn the incredible healing power of the combination of really clear use of language and knowing the neuroscience of trauma and how it can be healed. So there we are. There's a starting point. Pernilla and Asha, did I forget anything that you would like to have said?
No, I don't think so. Thank you.
Pernilla and Asha both teach this material in Europe, and so they would both be teachers with whom you could study and get some of the hours that are needed for the program if you're European. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, so we prepared a very few slides for you, and then so that you don't just hear the messages from us here, who, I mean, full transparency, we are the team. We want you to onboard this program so that we can run it. And
we also love the program because it changed lives. So we would like also to create better world. And it is the way, because I'm always saying that I'm a dreamer, and I am a dreamer of the world. And when people are healed and can hear each other and cooperate on different levels. And this program really changed our brains and gives us resources to do this. So it's about running the program, but for me, it's also about creating the better world.
And in order for you to have the opportunity for a second opinion, you will also hear from our graduates and our current students. so, I mean,
because we're in love with the Sarah, with the program, and with our cooperation. So definitely, we are not objective about it. We need other voices to say more about the program.
Exactly. Okay, let me see. How do I run the? Is that here? Yes, here we
Danish,
go.
so we don't know.
Ah, of course.
Yeah, we can help you.
Oh, it's interestingly slow in loading. I just showed it before. Okay.
So it's a moment to take the breath in and out and just.
Yeah, perhaps I'll just show it from this way of showing it then. Okay, so this was Sarah when she used to teach in a physical space. Gosh, all that traveling that we have saved you from. It's amazing how much we can do in an online space. Yeah. So what you will learn, so we tried to put this together in just 6 bullets, which is very difficult because there is an enormous amount that you will learn. But the resonant language, as you have met during this summit, is of course the backbone of everything we do in this program, both in what we train, what we study, what we nerd about, and what we practice, and how you are met as best we can in the program. There will be knowledge about our brains and nervous systems and how early conditioning defines our lives. And this is so beautiful. I'm not an academic, and I am so happy with Sarah's way of teaching because I understand it. So this doesn't require scientific education from university at all. This is all translated into a language about what it really is that happens in our brains and nervous systems, as no one else I know manages to teach this, as you probably noticed during these days. And then there are so far 4 unique RHP processes. What is RHP? That's the Resonant Healing Practitioner Program. So this is the abbreviation we'll use over and over. So there are 4 unique processes to support the client's emotional healing, and you've probably already met them. at least some of them during this summit, the hero's journey through time travel empathy, and the release of nervous system contracts. And there are a few more on top of them. And I wouldn't be surprised if there are 5 next time we open a program. And so this is what is sort of handed over the counter. But more important than that, you will continue your already ongoing journey with clearing the blocks in you that get in the way of unconditional presence. Because it's the practitioner's presence. It's the accompaniment on a very, I'm tempted to say intimate, but it has nothing with intimacy to do, but it still feels as if it's a very intimate level. Our presence as practitioners is the thing that makes the difference. It's not the processes. They're just the scaffold for our presence. So of course we need to explore ourselves and train and clear those blocks that get in the way for being present this way with people. And you get to integrate everything you learn as you learn it. So this is not a conceptual education. It is, but it's much more than that. It is really rewiring the nervous system as we go. And our people on this call will tell if I'm exaggerating. I don't think so. I've been rewired, so I believe it counts for all of us. And then we have this beautiful community in which everything happens. I'll come back to in a moment to tell about the structure and what is what you can expect to experience during the program. But the community is a very central piece. You get your small group and you get a larger group, and this is where your integration happens really. So I'll just stop the sharing now so we can hear some other voices, right?
Yes, we have this idea about asking our grads or present students, so what have you learned or what are you learning, and how the program enriched your life? If you would like to share.
And there is a lot to share about this program, so please condense what you're sharing as much as you can. Make it a Maggie cube, those you put in your sauce to make it taste really intensely.
And maybe add new things, not to repeat all the time the same, unless it's really important. Gabi raised the hand. Go ahead.
So to be short, I would say that the result felt in me, in my life, is an expansion in the capacity of holding feelings, being with the uncomfortable, and also expansion for laughter and joy. So it goes both ways. And visiting in my bodily experience places that I never knew existed before. So that is kind of getting wings to fly. Yeah, I guess that shortly speaking everything.
Yes, thank you, Gabi. And Julie, you raised your hand.
I think for me, so many times I see things marketed that isn't what I think it is when I get there. And something on Sarah's website says, make your brain a better place to hang out. And that's what this has done for me. And I knew I'd got somewhere when my inner critic was ready to retire and become and retrain as a resonant self-supporter. I knew I had done my homework and everything that was asked of me when that happened. And I want to say that I now have a sustainable living And this, I'm now doing a passion. I'm not working. I'm getting to have creative play and deep, deep connection. And I finally have a family. And that brings tears. Thank you all.
Thank you, Janine.
Thank you, Julie.
Brings tears to my eyes too.
My
Thank you.
eye. Mm. Is there anyone else who want to share, or maybe there are some questions that you want people, grads and students, to answer? Also, you can write them in a chat. Lara.
Well, it's month 3, January, February, March. So I've been doing this for 3 months, and I wish you had specific questions because I don't know where to start. But it's a wild ride, to use a phrase. Maybe the analogy is that when you're in like Sarah's classes, you feel like you're playing at the swimming pool and you learn about water and you splash each other and you learn to float on your back. But our HP is like swim team. Give me 50 meters and then another 50 meters and then you can have a break. Well, not this time, but in a good way. Is that Sarah's laughing, so it can't be that bad.
Oh,
I can't
thanks
be that far off if I'm making you laugh.
for
But if
enjoying
you
the
love the
matter.
pool,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very true.
But it's all done with love and care. But yes, it's true.
Yeah, there is definitely a shift of speed and intensity from all the other courses that Sarah runs and into the RHP. That is a targeted, very directed training.
And I just want to add why, because it's certification program. So we would like support people to be able to work with others. So they need really to integrate this material and train the muscles of resonant language in different scenarios. So they can really enrich others and meet them with this, what they are bringing to the sessions.
Thank you. Dea, you might have a question for us before we go to Karine.
I do have a question. I've actually been training with or like taking different classes with Sarah since 2018. And I feel everybody's pain sometimes. And I'm wondering, I mean, literally, it just comes up in huge waves. How do you deal with that?
Usually, there are unconscious contracts that are that we made out of love when we were little people that ask us to make our nervous systems available to the world to try to help heal it. And as we begin to release those false bodhisattva contracts and change them into, instead of something where we're sacrificing ourselves in some way, rather to move towards a joyful contribution, a sense that the universe wants us to dance, and that we often, when we're small, the only thing we can give to try to make the world a better place is our suffering. And yet when we begin to kind of ask the universe, do you want my suffering? Is it honoring you? The universe is often very vehemently saying, no, your suffering does not contribute to me. What's it like to hear this, Dea? How are you doing?
Brings tears.
Mm-hmm.
I feel just a lot of sadness.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your incredible contribution to my life.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thanks for letting me know how it is to hear. Grateful to know.
Thank you.
Sarah, would you repeat that last brilliant thing you said? Like, I know when people ask me to do that, I'm like, what did I say? But I,
that we can have a contract that we make when we're small, about 9 years old, between 6 and 9 usually. We start to see the pain that the world's in or the pain that our family's in. And the only thing we have to really give is to suffer with the people who are hurting, to feel it with them so that they don't feel it alone. And as we begin to release those contracts of suffering, then since we're in the play summit, the play becomes easier, and the work of resonant language, it's like it's like playing bumper cars, because you're trying to steer your brain between two narrow rails and not hit them, but there's such a sense of wanting to contribute that will often try to give advice. I mean, I still do, try to catch myself trying to give advice. So but it becomes a joyful action of accompaniment and contribution, and to bring ourselves into attunement with another, but also to know that we get to take our attunement away and rest. We don't leave it with them forever, that we're sovereign beings. I expanded on what I had said before, but you're nodding, so okay, very good. Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you. And let us, yeah, Karin, please speak.
Yeah, I didn't know what to say at the beginning because it's sort of, I forgot how it was before. So I have to remind myself, how was it before? What changed for me? And yeah, of course. And I think Julie said it, yeah, my brain is a much better place. I was so much critical of myself that this really transformed myself, and it's still going on, but it's much more softer and much more yeah, I like it. It's a wonderful brain that I really enjoy it. And so for myself, it was like this. And also for my client, I was a coach before in a different program. And this support really extend my window of welcome for anything with difficult emotion that usually you want to protect, or you want to save, or you want to rescue or something. And so and this is the explanation that sometimes you or we don't cannot be with this type of emotions. And so my window is getting bigger and bigger, more or less every day, and still and I feel it much more is much easier for me now to just to be with someone with big pains or big big trauma. And so this really allowed me to be more present with my clients.
Yeah. And Karin, you and I knew each other even before we started studying with Sarah. So we've been very parallel in these studies, both in Europe and online. Yeah. And with our coaching background as well. Yeah.
And I saw that Terry wanted to ask a question, but she doesn't have a hand up now. But maybe you want to say your question, Terry.
Thank you. I wanted to ask, when Sarah mentioned about the child from 6 to 9, could you speak to, I wanted to give the world love. I wanted to hug the world and save that way. Could you speak to that if the child's heart is trying to kind of heal the world? Like I wanted to tell Nixon, I thought Nixon needed a hug when I was little.
I think just to say that that there are real bodhisattva vows, that where we give and it's out of a deeply joyful place, and we give because we don't want to do something else. And then there are false bodhisattva vows where we are suffering in some way as a result of them. We don't sleep, or we don't eat, or we don't take care of ourselves, or we don't take care of our families, or we're not able to respond to people's bids for friendship. We never get to play, and those are not, in my opinion, are not true bodhisattva vows. Those are false bodhisattva vows, if the cost is suffering.
That
Carol?
makes sense. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just noticed someone on the screen that I haven't seen for years, and this is Eva. Eva
I just noticed.
Teralik. Yes.
So
And
nice to you.
yeah, and I'd love to hear some words for you. I know that you've pursued a career as a psychotherapist since you left the Resonant Healing program. And
Yeah.
I'd love to hear how are you using your resonant healing skills nowadays?
Yeah, that's why I actually came here, because I wanted to share this experience with you. Sorry for my English, because it's still, it makes me a bit, intimidated when I'm talking to you. It's not my native language, and it's sometimes, making me a bit red, and you will see blushes on my skin. So I started with Sarah before starting my psychotherapy school, and for me, that was the best decision as for myself. And then when I decided to go to the psychotherapy school, I'm in the modality of Gestalt. It was like I'm feeling that I got in my psychotherapy school, I got a lot of tools which are for the left part of the brain and for the body. And at the same time, now with Sarah's knowledge I got, and with all this kind of precision that I have to talk and to resonate with people, I can really see that all the processes go faster. So, I mean, people are really getting healthier faster. And even when I was working in the psychiatric hospital, which was kind of quite a really difficult work, I was very often using the resonant language, and it was so beautiful, because sometimes people didn't want to speak. The patients, they were there. But when I was resonating with them, their body started to answer, and they sometimes started to talk, even if you might say that mentally they were not able to speak. So I'm so grateful, Sala, for you, for Pernille, for Asia to bringing to Poland. So it really helped me. And if you have any questions about how it goes in the details, I'm very happy to share it with you as well.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful to see you and to know this.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. And even people notice there that now sometimes I asked by my colleagues who are psychotherapists to give them some lectures or to give them some practices to share the knowledge with them, because they see that it works. So that's the beauty of it.
Very beautiful.
Yes. There you go. Thank you.
It's like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the brain, like these spikes are trying to get closer, the ones that are not. And I really feel like with this language, they have this bump, and it worked. And it's really, you can, like an engineer, see when it came. So that's really the beauty of the method.
Thank you.
And there's a couple of questions about time.
Yes. Yes. So
and I propose
let's
to
go
come
back to
the
the
slides.
slideshow so that we can sort of share the whole structure of the
And then we will
program.
answer the question because some of them might be answered already by slides.
Exactly. Here we go. So we are running 4 modules.
They're 5 days each.
5 days each, except for the last module, that's only 3 days. So we start in January 2026. We haven't set the dates for the second and third module yet, neither for the feedback day. But this is sort of, this is so you can get an overview of the rhythm of the year, that we've got these, like every 3-4 months there is another module. So the first module is basics. The second module is very much on working with the other. The third module is deepening. So at that time you've got a lot of experience already from your practice. And so this is where we really go to, to new depths in this material. And the last module is celebration of what has been learned. And so this is less for new material unless something urgent has come up, and more simply just for sharing with one another what we've learned. And in between, so this is the backbone, and in between these modules we've got all these different elements. There is weekly practice in your practice group. There is weekly journaling, which of course is something you run yourself. There are written exercises to submit, which when they happen, they will replace that week's journaling. So the exercises is something you'll send to Sarah, the weekly journaling not, that's just for yourself. Then once a month there is a community call in order to simply say hello and share topics of general interest in the larger group. There are monthly neurobiology webinars, and some of you might know it already, that's when Sarah dives into a special topic and nerds it from a brain science perspective, and where she sort of elicits what implications that has for us as people and as practitioners. Then you have a monthly session with your journey person, and your journey person is one of the assistants who are people who have been through this program, who have been certified in the program. So they're invited back, as you will be invited back after your certification, to support the next group, or even more than 1 year. And so you'll have a private session with a journey person once a month in order for you to both get a sense of how they how they navigate this resonant healing practitioner material, and not least for you to process your own stuff as it will be coming up for you during your practice group time and the classroom hours. Then there are some session demos where we all gather, and Sarah through lottery picks a few students to work with, so that you have a chance of working directly with Sarah on whatever topic is coming up for you. There are Q&A calls as needed, and there will be some requirements of transcribing your sessions, a few sessions as we go, which is also something you'll submit and get lovely feedback on, which most of the feedback is celebrating your how you are integrating this, and then some tips and tricks for furthering your integration. Right. So as you see, there's quite a lot here. Last year, I think we said, for the current cohort, expect to spend 5 to 10 hours every week. And we can hear some of our people present here if that, I think Lara already wrote that some people use full-time and some people have a job besides, so of course it's not full-time, but just to have an idea, I guess the 5 hours a week is probably really a minimum 10 hours a week is probably closer to what most students use. And then of course much of it is self-directed, so that you can go on a break, on a holiday or something, and then you'll catch up or do your things in other ways.
Pernilla, before we go to prerequisite, how about we ask Jamie and someone else ask about the timing? Is it answering? Yeah, Anna Maria. Is it answer the question about engagement and time, or is it something it's needed to clear here?
I'm curious. Sarah wrote in the chat 6 to 15 hours a week. So for a year, Sarah, is that what you're saying? Because I like to swim. That's a lot of swimming. Okay.
Yeah. So it is, I mean, even though from the NVC world we don't talk much about demands, we like requests better. But I'd say if you want to soak all this up that's offered for you, eat the whole buffet, it is demanding of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Joanne asked about what time of day this happens. It happens at 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific time for 5 days in a row for those specific modules. And then the rest of the time you're organizing your time yourself. And if you can't make, if the times of the classes are wrong for you, like the demo calls that I do, if that doesn't work for you, then you would watch the recordings and write about it. You can't miss time during sometimes people are like, wait, I can't go. I have a family wedding. Then you should wait for the next cohort, because we will work with people who have sudden illnesses or some kind of car accident. Of course, we'll work with people if there are emergencies. But in terms of planned stuff, you need to be present in the classes, in those in those module classes, in order to get all the way through the program. So, yeah. And
there was go ahead.
Go ahead, Asha.
Tero asked, I didn't fully understand hours per week referring to the practice, to whole engagement in the program, like 5-6 hours.
Yeah, Pernilla was adding it up Pernilla was going with the old one, but I added up the hours per month and then divided by 4 with the stuff that we had on the list. And we didn't even have the empathy buddy exchanges that we'd like to maybe institute.
Yes.
So then that adds another 2 hours, hour and a half to 2 hours a week. So I went up from Pernilla's estimate of 5 to 10 hours a week up to 6 to 15 hours a week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there is a question how often the program starts, and I will answer every second year, so like something like this.
Second or third, because we started this one in 2024 and we're starting the next one in 2026. So a 3-year. So
it's 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, two and a half, because we need to give chance people to gain the hours to meet the.
So let's get to the hours now then.
Mm-hmm.
So we've set some prerequisites for applying for you don't just sign up. It's an application process, because we want to make sure that the program is a good fit for you, both to protect you and to protect the program. So several of our people have had a conversation with me or somebody else in order to simply just talk about how this program works for them. And we haven't said to anybody you can't join, but there's been a few who realized that this was not the best program for them at the time. So for applying for being a student, you need to have completed at least 100 training hours in Resonant language before the course starts. And so the first 4 lines is about how you put, or the next 4 lines are how you put those 100 hours together. You can log your Resonance practice hours if you are taking part in any of Sarah's programs where there's practice offered outside of classroom hours. You can count up to 25 hours of them. 50 hours need to be live learning with Sarah or someone whom she has certified for this, or have an agreement with that they can teach this material and that it can count. Could either be in person or online. You can also do some of the self-study courses that you'll find on Sarah's website. And if that's what you choose, you need to do an entry in your journal, like write a few paragraphs about your learning, so that we see that you've been through it. There are also some people coming to this program from the world of constellations, and they can count 33 hours if they've done constellation work with Sarah or other practitioners of this program. Of these 100 hours, one program must be a foundational resonant healing course with Sarah, and there are a few to choose between, as you can see here. Intro to Resonant Language Self-Study, which is one of these self-study options. Resonant Language Live or Juicy Relational Skills would qualify. And what we have added, or rather the current cohort is the only one where we haven't asked for this, and we are picking up on it again, is that we ask that you have at least 6 days of training in nonviolent communication, or 3 days tailored for our resonant healing practitioner applicants, students. So we will probably offer 3 days introduction that you can choose if you don't have 6 days with another trainer. Yeah, so I'm seeing that we are close to the closure time. So before I come back to the full group, let me just share the last slide, which is the investment. So for this program, beginning in 2026, we will charge $7,500 for people from the global north and west. And for Eastern Europe and the global south, we charge $5,200. Application is not open yet, but will open soon. There will be some scholarships available. Partial scholarships is what we aim at, because we want it to be available for everybody, and we want, as far as possible, to reserve these scholarships for people who come from corners of the world where they have no chance to collect the money and pay. And corners of the world includes, of course, geographical corners and also social corners of the world. But we are happy to have a conversation with you about it, and we really want everybody who has a chance of collecting the money, please do so, so that the scholarships can go to those who don't have a chance of collecting the money. Yeah.
It's a long way away at this point, right? It's
It is almost 2 years down the road.
18 months from now, or yeah. And so you may be thinking, oh, I don't need to think about this yet. But actually, it takes a little while to pick up the hours. And the more you practice, the more the easier time you'll have in the program once it begins. So so Anne-Marie, what are you thinking about in this moment? I can extend for probably 5 minutes if Asha and Pernilla can.
I just wanted to clarify because I thought that I heard Pernilla say 33 hours of direct training with Sarah for constellations could be included, but
Yeah.
then I see your thing saying that constellations and resonance are separate. So did I misunderstand?
I misunderstood your question.
Ah,
You said, is constellations practice included in resonance practice? And
thank you.
constellations and resonance are separate things. Yeah.
I didn't word it well. Thank you for clarifying.
Well, thank you for clarifying. And what are you with right now?
So it's Monica. So I'm wondering, does this program take 3 years then to finish?
It takes between 12, once you get into it, it
Yeah.
takes 12 to 15 months. but the run up to it takes people 1 to 3 years usually.
Okay, so the total is like 3 years to get through everything, the beginning and the class. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Monica. Lovely to see you. Hello to Jamie.
Hello, would you mind putting up the prerequisite slide again? I was trying to take it all in, but that was a lot. And then I
Yeah,
took a picture of it.
absolutely.
I won't take a picture of anyone else, just the thing.
Just that. Yeah, and I think it's on the website too.
Okay, great.
Yeah, if you need to find it later.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jamie.
Thank you.
And Dea, hello.
Hi, Sarah. I've taken a lot of classes with you. Can I retroactively use those
Oh, yeah.
classes towards
Yeah,
this?
the thing about the being in class for this program is that you need to be in the breakout rooms. Because sometimes people come and sign up before they start to be a resonance practitioner, before they want to be a resonance practitioner, and they don't really participate in the breakout rooms.
I always participate in everything.
Then you're good. You're good. Just get with I think Jaya is the best one to help you just
Okay.
figure out how many hours you already have. But please,
Okay.
if you've already fulfilled all your hours, please stay in class, because that'll be part of what we look at with the application process, is whether you're current. Sometimes people are like, Sarah, I had 100 hours with you 10 years ago. And I'm like, no.
No. No, I've done like a couple of different modules
Yeah,
a year since 2018.
Great. That's good.
And I
good.
feel like I'm just beginning. I really
Yes,
feel like I'm just beginning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nila and Asha are like, Sarah, I think we need to increase the number of hours that people have to spend before they come into the program. Then I'm saying, I don't know. So yeah.
So
And we also want to create different levels, like train the trainers on 10, because we also want to learn still. Our learning process is not finished at all.
No, it's true. Hello to Deanna.
I have one more question, if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all.
It's, do we put a deposit now for 2026?
No, you can put the deposit in it's about 4 months before the deposit is due, so that we know whether or not we can run the program. Because then if we can't get enough people, we have to extend.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate all your time. Mwah.
Oh, thank you, Dea. And hello to Deanna.
Real quick, when I'm thinking about the prereqs, for example, this is April. So I have about, 6-ish months in 2024, and I've got all of 25.
Yep.
Do you have a recommended momentum that would lead me well into 26? How I should be thinking about these classes, like gentle or hard in 24 and practice a lot in 25? I mean,
that sounds great. Yeah. So the basic resonance classes and basic time travel and unconscious contract classes are the foundation. And then after that, follow what your time allows and what you love. That's what's most important, because whatever you love or are deeply interested in yourself will soak into your brain like your brain is a dry sponge, and this is wonderful water coming in.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Deanna. And hello to Holly.
Hello. I should be good at this, but I'm not. I was just curious what the minimum required people you have and what's the maximum, like what's the size of the group?
We shoot for about 50 people in the cohort.
Mm-hmm.
We often have some attrition. We haven't had any attrition so far this year, really, but we often do.
Okay.
And that will be our last question today, because I have to go open a Zoom room for our next presentation. I think I do.
And let me just say that you can read more about the certification program on the website. I just pasted the link in, and it's also on this website that you can sign up for more news. That takes you on a special list where we send out only news about the certification program. So that would be the place. And we'll also let you know as we go whom to get hold of. Feel very free to contact me if you have questions. Where to find me? On the practitioners list, of course. So that would
Yeah,
be
and you can also
one way.
contact me. And what is more, I just want to add, we will organize also info call with us to answer any questions and repeat probably more or less the same things. So you can also, if you sign to the list, you will know that you will receive an info.
And as soon as we've got the specific dates, the list will be the first people to know this list. So, I mean, please sign up for the list if you're interested. How about we have a show of hands of who think they might be interested in starting in 2026? Let's see. Yes, wonderful.